day, viewers. Welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations with Isa Favored. Oh, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. We are talking life issues. We are talking about the day-to-day issues that we deal with. And one of the concepts that I like talking about, and I usually say I'm letting the little girl out to play, because I believe that within me there's a little girl that needs to be, I always say, life is too serious to be too serious, so sometimes allow the little girl to come out and play. But with that, there is the concept of the inner child that lives within each and every one of us. We all have that inner child. And I felt it is important to try and unpack that, because you will have a healthy or a healed inner child, and sometimes you have this wounded inner child that we get to see the child then manifest or do certain things that an adult does, and you're thinking, did they really have to do that? I don't think that was necessary. But I'm not expecting these things. I try and get people that will come and help us understand these issues. And today I have, you know her. She's not stranger to our studio. I've got Pastor Gertrude Gininda, who is a professional nurse and specializing in mental health. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you, Sis Nomsa.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you, Sis Isa. It's really an honor to be with you again today. Mm-hmm. I greet you and I greet the followers, viewers, subscribers. Remember to subscribe.
Remember that. Don't forget to subscribe. So, we are talking inner child.
Yes.
Can we start by defining? I think when we're talking, issues of psychology, it's good to put things into perspective.
All right.
So can you tell us a bit about the inner child?
Okay.
When we talk inner child, what do we really mean?
Yeah, we are really talking pure psychology,
mm-hmm.
because the inner child concept
mm-hmm.
or phenomenon is brought from the school of psychology
mm-hmm.
of Sigmund Freud,
mm-hmm.
the psychoanalysts.
Yeah.
Sigmund Freud and his team, they say the human psyche
mm-hmm.
is made up of a sum of little elements
mm-hmm.
that come up to make the whole.
Yes.
These are the people who told us about the id,
mm-hmm.
the ego, and the superego.
Yeah.
And therefore, when we talk id, we're talking a certain portion.
Mm-hmm.
Jalo, we come to ego and superego.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, to explain or define the concept of the inner child,
mm-hmm.
we grasp from their teaching that says the whole
mm-hmm.
is made up of little parts, small parts.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Sigmund Freud and his friends,
mm-hmm.
several friends,
mm-hmm.
Carl Jung being one of them, they say the inner child is an expression of certain experiences that have shaped us, that have been kept in the subconscious.
Okay.
Hence, we talk inner
child.
Yes.
Okay. So it's experiences. So it will comprise of the developmental stage of a human being. That a child is born and they go through certain stages. So then those, whatever happens at that point when I am growing up, then becomes stored in my subconscious.
Definitely. Their argument is formed within the first 6 years of life.
Mm-hmm.
That's the inner child formation.
Okay.
Whatever experience is good or bad or ugly,
mm-hmm.
they've been formed, embedded in the psyche of that person.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends which of the experiences are uploaded.
Okay.
Those that are uploaded are likely to come out. Those that are shunned
mm-hmm.
by the environment in which the child is growing up
mm-hmm.
are likely to the child to be so afraid of bringing them to the open that they're thrown back in the subconscious, but they're still stored. They'll come out later, as you have said.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So I want that, because we and I'm not sure whether we should start by unpacking a bit, maybe just a little bit, the subconscious, the role of the subconscious. Let's just touch on it a little bit so that our viewer at home can get to understand that, because I want to follow with a question on the issue of that.
Okay, thank you. The subconscious are the parts of us that form in the mind, the thinking patterns, the decision-making capacity, the intellect, and the emotional response, which at the end we see as behavior. You don't say I'm happy because I first told you I'm happy.
You can tell.
Yeah, subconsciously, when you told me something nice, my face started beaming up. Then subconsciously, I gave you a response. I did not overtly say I'm retrieving my joy
I'm going
from
now.
somewhere, and now I'm giving you the joy.
Yes.
It's within, but hidden, but come out in certain behaviors.
Equally so, even, and I love that you started with a happy. Anger will also be the same. So you don't say, a person doesn't need to tell you that they are angry. Their response and body language and everything suddenly changes if then they are angry.
Yes.
That is why sometimes you'll find probably a person asking you, what's wrong? And the person says, I'm fine. But it's because the person can see that,
The
but you're not
shoulders
fine. Everything tells you that.
They're not fine shoulders, these ones. These ones are saying, come on. These shoulders, they're saying, come, la.
Come, let's. Okay. So then when we're talking the concept of the inner child, we're saying in the first six years of a child's life, then all future responses are shaped and they are kept there.
Yes.
Now, if we're talking about a child who is if we're going to say the inner child, or we're talking, so let's make an example of a child at home who is not allowed to express how they feel.
Yes.
How do we then get to see that in adulthood?
Thank you. And that is such a challenge for the African child.
Yes.
I see other cultures, but for the African child, we know we have a cultural saying that says a child is to be seen but not heard.
Yes.
So we've already informed the child that your opinion doesn't matter. We can see you. As long as you're breathing, we're fine. We see you breathing, we're okay.
We've given you bread and food. What's
you have
wrong?
eaten, you are clothed, it's okay. So these repressed feelings, they go into the subconscious as well, stored. The child was angry about something, but was never given the opportunity to express their anger, even at their little level, where they're not going to tell you I'm angry, but they might say, I don't like how you said what you just said. And us adults, you don't know how to respond. You don't like what I said. What did I say? But if we allow the child as early as on that to express themselves, we're building a healthy individual.
So when we talk healthy inner child, then we'll be talking about a child who, I'll be correct if I say, they will have been allowed to be themselves.
Yes.
Within limits, within reason also. Because if I go back to our conversation that we had when we were talking narcissism, I remember that you said to us, it is said that the genetic plays a role, as well as the environment, the social environment. So when you allow a child to be themselves within certain, and maybe that's where the problem is, the limits. We don't know where the limits are.
Thank you. And the very same team, the psychoanalysts, they say a child thrives in an environment with boundaries.
Okay.
Very conflicting, because they say if you raise a child without boundaries, you are confusing the child, because they don't know, where does my world end? Where does my world start?
Okay.
So they do need a certain level of being hemmed in, being given limits. You can go this far, but not that far. You can go there, but not that side. It's not a do-all and be-all. Even that one is not a healthy individual.
Okay. Because generally, human beings, human nature would like to test limits.
Yes.
Will test boundaries.
Oh, yes.
So when they say a child thrives when there's boundaries, the child will somehow know that this what I'm about to do now. They should be. So when they are just let go continuously, then they are confused.
Definitely. You know, I'm reminded not long ago I was watching a sitcom of a child who was testing the boundaries of using, I think the child is about 7 years, was testing the parents on their response when she is using the F word.
Okay.
So the F-bomb, not just, not any...
The F-bomb.
The F-bomb. So the first time the parents heard it, they were gossiping amongst each other to say, but how are we going to instruct her that this is not a correct way? Then the one parent made a commitment that, no, I'm going to tell her it's not an acceptable word. And when he went to the child threw the bomb. The parent said, but no, that's not an acceptable word. The child said, but you are laughing.
Oh my goodness. So how you also say it?
So that, you know, the parents who raised us, they would discipline you across the room.
Yes.
Without saying a word.
Yes.
You turn around and meet the eyes.
Then you know.
You know
I've
something
crossed
is
the line.
I must check if I'm seated correctly. What's wrong? What did I do? They didn't say anything.
Yes. So that's so I guess as for those that are still raising kids, then it says you need to be aware of everything that you are doing.
Definitely.
Your words must match your actions.
Thank you.
It can't be this, and because then it sends confusing messages to the child.
Yes, it's actually one of the factors that end up presenting to us and the world at large a wounded inner child.
Okay.
Because that child was taught or told, be nice, be kind, be considerate. When you get 2 slices of bread, let one be yours, the other be your brother's. And then they find they're in the car and you are driving. You are not kind to the other road user. You are pushing your way. And they gently say, but mommy, be kind. The other one, and the mother says, but I'm in a hurry. And the child records. They are sponges. They take in. They observed more than they said.
Yes. You know, when you talk about that, in terms of the observed, I've got my grandson, and every time he says, I'm almost done, I always say, almost doesn't count. I'm like, almost. And I was surprised one day when I was saying to him, I'm almost, and he's like, almost doesn't count. Yes. And I was like, okay.
I'm caught in my
I'm
own
caught
ways.
in my own way. So to say whatever we say should then match that. Now, maybe give us some few examples, 1 or 2 examples of how would a person know, because I don't think, and you'll correct me. Does a person realize that this is the wounded child in me that is responding to this situation?
Oh yeah.
Do they know or do they not know? So I don't know whether you will start with the examples that will. When you look at them and then you'll be able to say, there's an inner child that's wounded here. So give us an example, and then we'll come to the question to say, do I know if there's that wounded inner child in me? Do I know that this response, it's not my response, it's the child in me that's responding to this?
So beautiful. I love the questions, Sis Nomsa. You know why? Because I just read of a couple that had to end a marriage of about 15 years because of the wounded inner child. Actually, the wounded inner children in both of them. The woman had her own wounds. The man had his own wounds. A wounded child situation. It was triggered on the woman by a simple event. You wouldn't consider an event warranting a relationship breakdown. She said the husband, one time when she was saying, I'm going out shopping, the husband said, please remember to bring me my favorite pack of snacks.
Mm-hmm.
Those snacks, I won't mention names.
Okay.
But then the lady, when she was shopping, she forgot the
The
snacks
snacks.
and came home without the snacks.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the groceries that
That
she
she
went to
bought.
do, the fact that those snacks were forgotten became an issue in the house, became a source of a major conflict in the house. The woman in therapy was asking the therapist, but what is the big deal about a pack of snacks? The therapist explained,
Yeah.
after speaking to the gentleman, found out, why are you so triggered by somebody failing to bring you a pack of snacks? She said, the guy said, it's because she was behaving like my mother.
My mother.
My mother never kept her promises. So now I have a distrust for people who fail to keep their promises. It doesn't matter how minor
Or big that
or
thing
big
is.
the issue is. So now the lady started recognizing that I don't think I'll meet the criteria here, because I don't know how many times I'll forget this or forget that, but it will become an issue. In this case, they were both not aware of the wounded inner child.
And for the gentleman, it was through therapy, as they were, that then he probably then got to recognize
Yes.
that it is mommy issues that
Yes.
never fulfilled.
Yes.
That so a wounded inner child will then show up in adult. On, I think earlier on we were talking when we were saying the response is not equal to the action.
Yes, ma'am. And this is where we are as a people, as a generation. The response for entering a lane, you know, you just got distracted. Let's take, for example, you are a mother in a car full of about 6 children. You want to change lanes fast. It's a normal response that due to the high level of concentration that you need to apply, you missed the other driver, not by any intention on your part, but you find that you have already started a road rage incident. Because the person you were getting into the lane that they were driving in has a wounded inner child. They were never respected as children. Their opinions never counted. Nobody heard them when they were expressing their need. And you crossing them on the road, on the N4, you form part of the team that never gave him or her
A voice.
A voice.
A voice.
Yes.
Now this person, because they want their voice to be heard, then they will make you listen.
By fire or by force.
You are going to listen. Then we see this aggression
everywhere
that is released, and you're thinking, but it's not necessary.
No.
It's so not necessary.
It doesn't relate. You know, we have this language, you know, it's a slang that I'm asking you something very simple, and your response is like you are asking for a change. You are giving me a 200 rand, but you are asking for 20 cents change. How many 20 cents will I get in order to respond
to that?
It's complex. We are not matching each other, either in communication or in response or in attitude. We don't reciprocate for the same event. I'm asking you to give me 5 minutes. You perceive my request as you are not that important.
Yeah. So as we then relate with people, how do we help them? Because I'm just thinking to myself that it's we probably all have got our own wounds.
Oh yes.
Now, when I come across you, you have your wounds, I have my wounds, and they are likely to collide. How do we avoid the collision?
Thank you. I think we'll reflect to what we discussed too last time. we need to encourage a culture of introspection.
Okay.
We need to develop as a people, as families, as parents raising children.
Mm-hmm.
Let's promote a culture of introspection.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like this attitude of, even as little children, when they're fighting over a toy, you give them the space for the other one to be in their corner and the other one to be in their corner. Just think about why you are fighting. Why are you fighting? And if they are given that chance, they are likely to find their own resolution. I've seen this even for myself with my grandchildren. If you don't interfere in the fight and say, you are wrong, you are right, and put the other one in the corner and say, just think and tell me why you are fighting. The elder one, the more matured one, will come back and say, sorry, Grandma, I was not considerate. I just wanted to play with her toy. And the values that were taught earlier, as they were growing up, the values of sharing. The values of being kind, they now come out, where even the one who was not allowing to share the toy,
it's mine.
Yes, it's mine. Comes back and says, okay, Grandma, I'll borrow her.
My
I can give it to her for 5 minutes or so. You see that if as a people we learn that I don't need to fight Sis Isa, I need to find the motivation behind what she's currently doing. I need to find the motivation behind the aggression.
Yeah.
I can't respond to the aggression.
Because if we all...
Sometimes the aggression is not even directed to me.
Yes.
I had a colleague who was like that. When we would come and, you know, sometimes the boss throws you off Monday morning. We're all from home. We're from weekend.
Refreshed.
Like tomorrow we're from holiday. And somebody just starts something. This colleague would say, this one is not ours. On the top of her lungs, say, no, this battle is not ours.
So let us not come into that. No. Yes.
It has nothing to do with us.
So let us not come to this. I say to people, don't go to that party. You're not invited.
Yes, you told me as well. Thank you.
You're not invited to the party. Let that party continue without you. And sit out there as a spectator and watch the party unfold.
Thank you.
Because you're going to get crushed. And when you get crushed the party, you are likely to be a casualty.
Definitely. I think you even said to me, Sis Nomsa, don't take that flight.
No.
You have not been booked in that flight.
Let it go.
Let it go. So if we could learn the culture of introspection, even before we speak.
Yes.
Checking, even before we respond. You know, it takes practice. It's not automatic.
Yes.
We have, what do they say, 21 days to learn a new habit.
Yes.
You teach yourself. I think it will enrich even marriages. It would enrich even families. That the woman is late coming back home. Try to find out. Maybe there was traffic. Maybe the boss delayed her. Maybe she had some work she was trying to push.
But then there's those who talking of late coming, there's those that is a habit.
Yeah.
It's a habit. You know that if you must meet with this person, you must just brace yourself that shame. And I think it also, you know, those things when you say, then you practice where you are saying, am I going to get myself all worked up?
Yes.
By their late coming?
Yes, ma'am.
Or am I going to, whilst waiting, find something to do so that their late coming
doesn't affect me. Some people do it on purpose, it's norms.
Okay.
Especially when we talk hierarchy on organizations and workspaces. There are some people who say, I really want to press her buttons.
Yes.
I want to know. I've heard that she can dish it. I want to see if she'll dish it to me. Do you see now? It's actually a wounded child.
It's a wounded child.
What's the benefit of us throwing rocks to each other? Who's really going to win? Because we are all going to end up scarred. So if we practice introspection and practice the art of pause, you feel the train about to leave the station.
Yeah, and when you can feel it building up and building up and building up.
Pull the brakes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find out when you're about to just let a big dog out, the person tells you a very sad story. And you're like, oh my word. Oh my word.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was I about to do?
Yeah. Earlier on, you spoke. You said, I think in one therapist or somebody speaks of this as the sun and the shadow.
Sun child and the shadow child.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sisi. The sun child is one of the scholars of Sigmund Freud, but who lives in our time. You know how they affiliate to certain schools of thought.
Yes.
So she says the sun child is the happy one.
Okay.
You know when you said sometimes you say, I'm letting my girl child out to play.
Yes.
Yes, that's those are the things that make us relate better as friends, relate better as colleagues. And those is when the sun child comes out. She's joyous, she's cheerful, she's a happy-go-lucky, she can relate well to people, she encourages. Okay, or he as well. It's not only a gender
girl
specific.
child, yes.
He as well is creative. Those are the people who can organize somebody's birthday party to the extent that you say, wow, I never thought of such. Wow, it never crossed my mind that somebody's party can be approached from this angle. They are tapping on into their sun child.
Okay.
The sweet experiences that they went through as children. The School of Psychoanalysis says it's nostalgia.
Okay.
It's a good, sweet
kind of, yes.
that we miss time and again.
Yes.
You know, like maybe you and I, when you say, let's go for coffee. When last did we have coffee? Someone would say, coffee for what? No, it's a nostalgic
Yes, it
feeling.
just gives you that.
We just
that
need
warm,
to gather together
yes.
and laugh and have our silly jokes. Some people don't get into that.
Yeah.
Some people, I'm sorry, they're in relationships where such an environment doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. And then the one in
the
the shadow
is the one where the fears come out. It's the one who expresses the fears and the phobias. Even as we were coming here, I was thinking of somebody, I won't say because he's around, who's scared of frogs. But this is, if you can follow up on the issue of frogs.
Not just frogs, they're just scared of everything, those ones that you're referring to. Because I know that person.
Yes, so
they're scared of lizards, they're scared of an insect, they're scared of everything that
can. And it's you find the psychoanalysts well validated because they say the inner child is formed or solidified within the 6 years of life. Who told you any story about a frog? You just got scared as a child. And any story about a lizard, it's fear that got embedded while you were a child.
While you were a child. And
the
into adulthood. Yes. Because then when you look at it, to a normal person, no, let me not use the word normal. When you look at it, it doesn't make sense.
No.
It doesn't. But because it is embedded to them, it is valid.
Yes. That's why we don't judge.
Yeah.
We'll rather assist somehow. I know of people who have shared with me that even when they go to a hotel, they must strip the whole bed and lift up the mattress and call the housekeeping to do a thorough checkup with a feather duster. It's phobias. It's the shadow child coming out, affecting an adult, a reasonable adult, a
to say hi,
adult.
I love when you're saying a smart adult, because the things that will make this person really, and then you're thinking, Now, I'm just in my mind as you're explaining this. Where does OCD come into this? Because OCD then, and we'll talk about it some other day, but as you're talking about this, I'm thinking it's also it's a sign.
Yeah, a root cause.
Because it's about control.
Yes.
It's about wanting, because probably at growing up when the formation stages, there were things that were not so. Then at this age, in your adult age, then you suddenly want to control
Definitely.
everything.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. That is so on point. It's exactly what Freud's team says about the shadow child. Is where the manipulation comes in, the control, the perfectionism, then the OCD, and the aggression. I was so shocked to learn that aggression is actually fear. Expressed fear.
Expressed fear. Come to think of it.
You think?
Yeah.
Because the aggressive person looks like he's ready to fight, but it's actually expressing that I'm afraid. I'm afraid of certain things, or I'm afraid of your intellect. You are too smart for me.
So I'm gonna attack it.
I can't deal with your smarts.
Oh.
And I do remember how our elders used to say
They
would chase you out if you're too smart, you're reasoning too much.
Too much, yes. Now I want to something that as I was doing some reading up. It says the inner child in each person is the core of the personality that has been molded by the directions on how to act to be loved. The person receives in childhood. Ne?
Yes.
So when then when affection is given when you do certain things,
yes,
and when you do certain things, affection is held back, then it shapes this person.
Yes.
Then to say, oh, okay, so if I display more of, so even in, I think that's where the manipulation then comes in adulthood, because then now they know that, oh, this is what I need to do in order to be loved. I need to do this and this. If I don't do this, then I don't. Then they kind of become manipulative as adults.
Yes, manipulative adults in families. Manipulative adults as society's members, manipulative adults as colleagues in the workplace, and manipulative as partners.
I share my feel for the partner.
Of course.
Just thinking, really, to say sometimes then those are the things that causes problems in relationships.
Imagine two manipulators married to each other. Because it's a tit for tat.
Yeah.
I'll only do this for you if you do this for me.
Then if you don't, then the person holds back love.
Yes.
Because they don't get their way.
No.
Then to punish you, I'm not going to be affectionate.
You're not going to be loved.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's true. It shapes our personality. I am glad this is how you have put your conversations together, because that's where we end up with your borderline personality disorder. That's also where we end up with your dependent personality disorder from the wounded inner child.
You are coming back. See? You keep bringing yourself back to this cover.
Thank you.
You keep bringing yourself back, because I would want us to talk about the issue of the dependent and borderline and all those. Ne? We would definitely, it is something that we're going to talk about. But then they also say here, painful experiences and lack of nurturing in dysfunctional families wound the inner child and contaminate adult experiences. And I think we've spoken about that. Then they say many persons with eating disorders have wounded or neglected inner child that affects their adult life.
Thank you. So true. Sorry. Very true.
Kanjani?
Yes, like girls. You must look a certain way. You must dress a certain size. Those of us who are a bit blessed. Yes. Then
who are vertically blessed. That's vertical. What's this? Vertical, horizontal, whatever. Sideways.
Yeah.
Horizontal.
So you are made to suffer.
Yes.
And not the people don't inflict pain by punishment, though I know of parents who inflict by direct punishment of actually weighing the child's food and saying you don't eat more than this.
Yes. Okay, that's where then your anorexia comes in, because then the child will still go and eat and
so that they don't gain the weight.
the weight.
Yeah. And I think there's one well-known supermodel. Is a supermodel now, but became anorexic as a result of wounding as a child by the mother, where you were made to eat greens only. Yeah, no rice, no starch for you. You're going to get too big. You're going to get fat.
Yes.
And they are made to understand that the world has no room for fat people. Nobody likes a fat person. Nobody appreciates a fat person. It doesn't matter how smart they are. We don't want fat people. So if the child is genetically predisposed to weight gain, what are they supposed to do? What is a child supposed to do with this weight that they gain, whether they eat or they don't eat? The metabolism affects their weight gain. Then we do have the
eating disorders.
Okay.
Then they also say characteristically,
yes.
They demonstrate problems with trust, intimacy, addictive and compulsive behaviors.
Disorders, yes.
So let's
how will I trust when I fail to learn trust from my initial caregivers, the people who brought me to the world? If they never shown me that they are worthy of trust, how can I trust a stranger? You see, Sis Isa, it's from the simplest things. But I'm glad that you have this show and you're teaching the world. Because for me, sometimes I lose it, even in public places, like a shopping complex, inside a store. You find a mother inside, I won't mention the name, supermarket for food. The mother is walking there, and the little one, 2-year-old, is coming, Kosiam, behind the mother. Sometimes I then take the child playfully and act as if I'm disappearing. When the mother turns back, I said, are you serious? Do you want this child? Are you serious about this child? Why is the child so far back from you? You see, already the child has developed an issue that I am not safe.
Yeah, because this is the person that must provide safety for me.
Something will shock you, Sis Noms. Psychologically, our sizes as adults, we look like giants to children. You see what the other nations do when they speak to a child? They bend and come
down to their level.
They have learned that when a child looks at you like this, he's looking at a giant. And when this giant is angry, I don't want you to do. I don't want you to. It's a very scary situation for the child.
Yes. The other day, I am with my son and we were going with my grandson.
Yes.
And he says to me, you know, Mama, now I understand why you always said we must not walk up behind you. I'm like, oh, thank God I've lived to hear these words.
Yes.
Because I say, remember how I always say to you, one day when you've got kids of your own, you'll understand. I'm glad today you get to say this. Because now Pile he's like, no, boy, come, don't be behind us. Come, you must always be in front of us or walk. Because, when I said it to them, he didn't understand. Now that he's like, now I understand what you meant, because he can't be behind us. God. It's not right for him to be behind us. He must either be in front of us or walk same line with us. Because to the child, it says, as much as they may want to remain, but it says,
I'm not safe. Where are the people who are supposed to protect me? Because all he can see are legs. You remember? It's like this. In his world, all he can see are legs. Okay? Yeah. So those are those common areas that build mistrust, closeness, intimacy. Do you know that there are parents who never hug their children? There are parents who never hold their children. There are parents who never allow their child to look
at them
very
yes,
close.
yes.
Not for anything. Just let your child study your face. Know you. Let them pull and
play
make faces.
with yes.
Let their inner child be stable.
Because that as they become adults, they also it's easy to relate with people.
Yes, it's easy to know that when they know that I'm fine, I am enough as I am. I am a well put together plan as I am. Because I was raised well. I've always intervened, like in situations where children are not allowed to walk barefoot. There's a spiritual teaching I learned that a child who never learns to walk barefoot in the ground never knows where they belong.
Oh, really?
Yes. They must get a chance and walk barefoot and touch the ground with their own bare feet so that they know that they are Africans. They belong in this continent.
Okay. So this thing of always being in your shoes...
It looks nice and tidy and...
But it's not right. We're depriving the child of something.
Yes.
Now, I'm just thinking, something just crossed my mind now, to say, and it may be related, it may not be related. I went to a spa the other day, so when you get to the spa, you must now change into the gowns and all that. And this woman struggled
Yes.
to take off her clothes.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't. So she literally had to go to the bathroom toilet and wear the clothes, whereas all of us were just taking off our clothes and putting on the gown. So we got to talk, and then she says to me, when I got married, I struggled to actually take off my clothes in front of my husband.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like why? Because to me it's like, why? Why would you struggle to take? She says, I can't.
This is one reason, Sis Nomsa, I respect our elders, as illiterate as they were, as uneducated as they were. But God had given them a gift to understand scientific things without having gone to school.
Yeah.
You look at the rural areas, what do they do when it's time for bathing? If there's 8 of you, they call all 8 of you. You strip, you get into the bath. Even the gender is not separated.
It doesn't matter, yes.
It comes only later when you start to recognize, you are different. Something about you. You got stuff I don't have.
Yes.
And that environment for the formation of a personality and the child is very helpful. It's very healthy because it develops self-image, self-concept. You know, my grandchildren, their skin tones are not the same, but none of them is intimidated. The darker one is not intimidated by the lighter ones because they identify as one.
Yeah, because so that will be, I know that I also had a friend who struggled as girls when we sleep in one room. She struggled to take off her clothes in front of another woman. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, no, this thing of yours of forever going around not dressed, I don't like it. I'm like, I'm a woman, you're a woman, what's wrong with you? Let's all walk around. And I really frustrated her.
Yes.
She struggled. She's like, no. She will literally go to the bathroom and bath there and put on towel, and I'm like, you are going to suffer because I'm sitting here, I'm not going anywhere. Why can't you walk?
Remember, we said it's embedded.
It's
so
embedded.
It takes therapy.
Yeah.
The therapists, you know what, they have several types of therapy that they offer to heal the wounded inner child. Sometimes they do the individual one. They call it cognitive therapy, where they let the person acknowledge those wounds that I was called ugly. I can never see myself beautiful. It doesn't matter what I've got on. It doesn't matter what style, I never feel beautiful. This is one of the reasons you see some of the people we live with, they'll wear the most expensive you can ever think of. But when you say, you look nice, they can't
See
receive.
that.
Because the wound has gone so deep. We meet them as a 35-year-old. For the first 5 years, all they were told is, you are ugly, you are fat.
Lento lemnyama le.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So now they give them that cognitive therapy. The other therapy that they give is the family therapy.
Okay.
Where they bring the whole family to discuss what went wrong.
What went wrong?
So that the child is in the presence of the parent to say, but mama, you never told me that I'm beautiful. You always called me ugly. I did the best at school. I came with the best reports. Not a single day was my report ever acknowledged in this house. You see, your topic is very broad, woman of God. You see, some of the people you see as super achievers, they are trying to heal a wounded child.
So they are continuously.
He's a pilot, he's a
doing
engineer, he's a
yeah.
everything. Is in everything. You say, leave some of the stuff for us, or do the pilot and leave the others.
And they can't. They want because they want this validation that
Thank
doesn't
you,
come.
It never came, so it's too late now. We are not the voices that can validate, and it makes sense. We are not.
Because the longing, this child longs to hear mommy or daddy say, well done. And that is not there.
Remember our grannies. Even if you brought they asked for a glass of water. Even if you brought it quarter, it wasn't even worth drinking. But they'll show you what? Appreciation,
yes.
Oh, you're cooler, says. Hey,
and that is wisdom of age. That was wisdom that,
these people are wise.
like you're saying that they never went to school, but they understood these things without anyone teaching them. They just knew that when you do this, the child blossoms, the child flourishes, the child becomes the best version of themselves that they can be.
They'll put so much Vaseline on you, so much Vaseline, just to make you feel great.
Oh, okay. I think we're out of time. But there's so much that we can. I think the topics that when you sit in that chair, when you come here, it's those things that we can never finish in one conversation. But because they bring up other conversations and other conversations. What are the things that probably you would have wanted for us to talk about that we may not have touched on that you believe is critical for our viewer to know at home?
Okay, thank you, Sis Nomsa. Yeah. I appreciate the work you are doing, Sissy, helping nations, helping women, men, and people to find themselves. You know, the inner child, when it's wounded, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of therapy, it's a lot of court cases, because some people with wounded inner children assault people left and right.
Yeah.
And then they get police cases and they have to get lawyers, when it was all in all a matter of a wounded child. I just wish to express one item we might have left, that of us transferring our wounds to our children.
Oh, yeah.
We need to try and let our experiences be our own. We don't say, I never had such. I never spoke like this to my mother. Okay? Yes, there are boundaries where we can say an African child will never.
Yes.
I sent you to a Model C school, but the African child will never.
Yes.
For the sake that I want you to grow up well and mix well with your community, I will not allow you. But try not to transfer the hurt, transfer the wounding. You were told you were ugly, and you are transferring the ugliness
to
the next generation.
Yes, because then there's no hope.
Serial killers are coming from there. We've just touched the surface.
Your serial rapists.
Rapists, they're coming from there.
Yeah.
Wounded, because every woman before them could never receive them. Their mother dumped them as a child. The grandmother, when they were brought to the grandmother's place, the grandmother said, I want nothing to do with you. And the neighbors called, as a little child, I used to fight. I'm a midwife, Akir. So I used to fight in the maternity ward.
Yes.
Because immediately the woman delivers a baby, newborn, has a minute on earth, 1 minute on earth. You show the woman, because the law requires that the woman must tell you the gender of the child herself.
Okay.
South African law demands. You don't say to the woman, you've got a baby
It's a boy.
No. The South African law says the woman must look at the private parts of the baby. You turn the baby around and say, what did you get? Let the woman confirm to you that
it's a boy,
it's
a girl,
or it's a girl. Hey, these women. And then they say, hey, it's a
So
girl. I say, woo.
What are you confessing to the child? What are you speaking to the child?
This person has just arrived. Ukebenge.
Ooh.
And the girl, they'll call the other word. I don't want to call that one. That's what they give to the girl. And I say, really?
Really?
That's what you want? So
it's someone who's wounded.
Yeah, transferring the wounds.
Yeah, that's a wounded person speaking like that. A healthy person will not speak like that.
Yes.
But there's a wound, because probably that's what they saw all around them and all that. Ooh. You say you always do that to me. When we come to the end, then you touch on something. Then we're out of time. Don't do that to me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, because that's. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. But yes, viewers, you've heard it. We've just touched the surface. I hope that through this conversation, we have challenged you to go and check yourself and say, is my child, the inner child, healthy, or is the inner child in me wounded? And if you are wounded, therapy is available. Seek therapy. This thing of us black people saying, no, there are areas where therapy is needed. Go and see professionals. Let them help you, because a fulfilled individual has a healed inner child. But if the child is wounded, fulfillment will not be there. So take some time, pause, and just look at your life and say, what am I displaying? My general life, am I displaying healthy or wounded? You will know. If you can be honest with yourself, you will know. And if you see that it is wounded, do the work. It's going to be a lot of work, of course, because you have lived with that wound all your life. But it can be healed and you can get better. Until next time, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Stay blessed.
Preview.